Okay, now we back in business. All right, so we're going to give him a smile. I often turn my paper to make it the easiest way to draw something. Now, if you're right-handed, you'll turn your paper this way. If you're left-handed, you're going to turn your paper this way. But I'm right-handed, so I'm going to pretend like this is where the smile is going to go. So I'm going to start right here, lift my pencil up, keep rotating my hand, put it back down when I get right there. And I want to leave some space between the end of the mouth and the edge of the head. Okay, so just do that. Take your hand, just rotate it kind of at your wrist, and that way you get a pretty even line and you don't have to erase much as far as inside that mustache goes. Because we don't want like this part of the mouth coming out here and the other part coming down here, up here, or something weird. They just kind of need to be a mirror image of each other. Then on each side of that, I'm going to put like a parenthesis, like this, little corner of his mouth, and then I'm going to put a slightly smaller one that parallels it. So he's got a big old smile. Okay, so he's really happy. He's having a really good day. It's almost Friday is what he's thinking. Definitely what I'm thinking. Like I say, if I get going just a little too quick, I am not offended if you say, hey, Mr. Adams, slow down just a little bit so I can keep up. I'd be more offended if you didn't tell me and you got all behind and I didn't know. Okay, has everybody got that, or does anybody need another second before we go on? All right, I don't see any hands. So I'm going to turn this sideways again, and I'm going to give him a little bottom lip. It's like a miniature smile, but it's just his bottom lip. And it's close to the mustache, right? Okay, it's not way down here because you don't want his bottom lip to look like it's 3 inches wide. It's just close to the mustache. We don't have to worry about the upper lip or even the mouth because that little bushy mustache is covering all that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is this shape right here, but we're going to alter it slightly. What is that shape? It's a rectangle, right? So all we're going to do is we're going to leave the sides the same, but the top and the bottom we're going to curve like that as parallel lines, and then just connect it with a straight line on either side. Okay, so we're not doing anything that's way out of your wheelhouse. We're just doing something, just slightly altering it. So above this eye, I'm going to put 2 parallel lines like that, and they're fairly thick, they're not too close together, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's important that they curve, and then I just finish up the ends, and now our dude has eyebrows. Okay, that's pretty simple how we did that. And he's looking better each time we touch it with a pencil. It's looking a little more complex, even though this is really not very hard shapes at all. So Priscilla, I'm going to have you draw it and then I'll grade you at the end of class. I'm just kidding. You actually could do this. I give you a circle template and you go boom, boom, boom. It's amazing what you can do with just simple shapes. Huh? I love it. And really that's all drawing is, just something to recognize. And even that complex drawing on the board of the little bat head, it's a lot of triangles and hearts and diamond shapes. It really is once you learn to recognize them. So. Okay. What I like to do when I draw, I just like to kind of build a foundation. So we started with a circle, and then we went and did a bunch more circles because I knew that we were going to stick with kind of a circle theme for this one. So we had the big circle, then we did the nose, then we did these 2 circles, then we put the ears on there, and it built a foundation for a face. That gave us, you know, how level the ears are going to come across, where the eyes should be placed, where the line to hold the glasses on. That's a foundation. Don't get hung up on details at this point in your drawing. The last part of your drawing is for details. The first part is just setting up a solid foundation so that your proportions, meaning the sizes of the different subjects within your drawing, are the correct size. And when we're doing this first part, this is where you make corrections, because if you get your foundation right, when you go to do the details, the drawing turns out well. But if the foundation's off, and like this ear is down here, or this eye is up here, and this other eye's down here, or you put this line here, and then you got this part crooked, I mean, if that part's off, then it doesn't really matter how detailed you draw it. In the end, it's going to be off. So we want the foundation to be on to begin with. So we're going to do one more circle shape. We're going to start right down here and put it right there at the bottom. Okay, it's not his neck, so don't freak out and go, what did you just do? Okay, you just got to trust the process on this. And I know sometimes, especially early in the morning, when you're only drawing with one eye open, it's a little tough because you're not quite awake yet. And circles can be kind of a pain to do. But as long as we're close and your circle looks more like a circle than a triangle, we'll call it a win. Okay, we're going to add 4 diagonal lines, and they're fairly straight. In fact, they're very straight. This will be near the face. This one's going to go up like this, and I'm going to come over here and do the same thing over here. Remember, whatever we do on one side, we want to do on the other. We want to make them kind of, make sure they're about the same length, and those angle slightly up. Not straight out, but slightly up, because they're close to the face. And then below, we're going to angle a line slightly down, another diagonal line, goes slightly down. So that when we're finished, it looks like a 4-legged spider that just got stepped on. Okay? Poor little bug. Does anybody have a guess what that's going to turn into, though? What do you think? A what? A body? Anybody else got another guess up front? Bow tie. Thank you. That's what we're going to turn this into. Very good. Since we made more diagonal lines, now we're going to make a couple more. Some of you, it might be easier to just go this way and turn your paper and bring it down about halfway and back up like that. It's just a little V shape, very spread out. Some of you might be okay to keep your paper this way and do it. Whatever works best for you, you do you on it. If turning your paper helps, turn it. If it doesn't make any difference, just leave it. Okay, now we have a really solid foundation. We got all our shapes on our paper, all hopefully in the right place or close to it. Now is when you do the details. Okay? And the problem with doing details before you have a foundation is you get so hung up on details that the accuracy of your foundation often gets distorted, and then you just end up with a drawing with a lot of details, but everything's in the wrong place. If we have a pretty good foundation to start with, the rest of our drawing will turn out. It's just like building a house. If you don't look at your blueprints first and then follow it and start with a foundation and build on top of it, and you just start slapping stuff together, it'll probably look like you just slapped stuff together, like an old shack or something. But if you actually follow a plan and start with a good foundation, generally whatever you're building is probably going to turn out okay. It's the same with the drawing. Okay, with that said, let's just go ahead and work our way from the top all the way to the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do is give this dude some hair. I'm going to just come up here and I'm going to put a curved line going that way and that way, and I lift my pencil up right at the end so I get a little point so it looks like hair. I'll hold that up close so you can see that I've, whoop, come on, focus, focus, focus. You can do it, camera. There it kind of goes. You just lift it up the end. That looks like those little birds you draw when you're lazy and you just want to draw little birds in the sky. It's the same kind of thing, okay? And yes, I sometimes am lazy, and that's the way I draw little birds in the sky. And I'm going to do the same thing again, except this time it's not going to be quite as long. Got a couple other little hairs there. The important thing is they curve slightly. Remember, gravity plays a part. That's why that hair is not sticking straight up, okay? I'm going to put two little shorter ones closer to the head. If you got room, put them on. If you don't have room, then don't put them on. Okay? So right now, it looks like a six-legged bug on his head, but it's just a little bit of hair, what he has left. And then I'm just going to put one more curved one coming out of the center like that and call it good. You can have yours leaning to the left or the right. Really doesn't matter. He doesn't have a lot of hair. Now remember, this is like a cartoon figure, so you're not going to have it be super photorealistic, just like a photograph. It just has to be a representation of some of the details, but not super, super realistic. So does anybody need more time on the hair before I go on? Okay, so sort of should look like little water spratting out of the top of his head, like a little fountain just went off. So now we're going to go with the glasses. To represent glasses, and instead of having to draw his eyeballs and stuff, we're just going to say they're fairly thick, kind of hard to see through. In cartooning, they often represent glass by using diagonal lines. So I'm going to put this one here, and this one here will be the longest one, which looks really weird right now. But then we're going to put a shorter one that parallels it right here, and a shorter one right here, and right here. And that basically represents glass in cartooning, okay? And if you've looked at enough drawings, you've probably seen something similar. So that's all we need to do for details on that. We're not going to worry about eyeballs right now. We'll do other characters later that, yeah, we will worry about eyes and stuff. But on this one, we're going to keep it simple. And a lot of what we do is drawing parallel lines to lines that we've already drawn. Everybody got the glasses done? Anybody need a second? Raise your hand if you need a second. They didn't turn out quite right. All right, we're good? We're going to do a parallel line right now. This parallel line is not going to touch the side of the head. It's going to be just inside the head and parallel the outer edge of the ear all the way around and come to a stop. What letter is that? It's the letter C. You've been doing that since what, first grade, or maybe some of you even before that? That's all that is. It's just paralleling this outer edge here. I'll show you a little trick for the other side. Okay, look up at the screen for a second. Some of you might struggle with drawing a backwards C. Now, I've drawn for a long time, so it's not a problem for me. But if it is a problem, because you're like, man, I'm going backwards, it doesn't feel right, it feels weird. Take your paper, turn it upside down, and guess what it's going to be now? just a regular C. Go in the same direction as the letter C. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with turning your paper to make it easier to draw whatever you're drawing. And now I've got this is a forward-facing C, and the other one is a backward C. And when I'm done, I flip it up. We've got a pretty good little set of ears going right there. And when we're drawing things that are like mirror images one side to the other, if it helps to flip it upside down so you drew it the same way as you did on the other side, do it. We're about trying to do it the easiest way possible, not the hardest way possible. Okay, inside the ear, I'm going to start at this top part. This part's a little tricky. We got to make sure that we don't get too far off on it. So we got our ear drawn on here. We got our parallel line coming around. We're going to put a little part inside, and then this ear is going to be done. So the correct way to do this is I'm going to start right here, and it's like the top half of a little crescent moon. Like if I brought that all the way around and connected it there, it'd look like a little moon. What we don't want to do is get too far away from it like that. That's too wide between here and here, okay? We want to stay fairly close, but we don't want it right next to the line. We don't want it coming way down here, okay? So that's all we're doing for the detail of that ear. On the other side, we're going to do the same thing. We just come about halfway down, and because it's a cartoon, we're not going to sit there and worry about crazy details on it, just minor ones. Now, one of my favorite parts is what we're going to do next, is we're going to make the mustache look more like it's hair instead of just a comb with all the bristles broken off or something. So, has everybody got the ears done? I know sometimes they take a second. Does anybody need another second on it? And don't be shy. If you do need more time, make sure you raise your hand so I don't run right past you. I don't see any hands, so we're going to move on. So right in the middle, basically, we're going to put a line off that point that goes straight up. Doesn't touch the nose, doesn't need to. Just go straight up. And then we'll work to the left and we'll come back and work to the right. I'm going to move over about 1/4 inch, just find another point. It can be an up point or a down point, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to put a slight curve that leans in towards the right. Starts here, starts leaning in. And then I'll go over about the same distance and put another one that slightly leans to the right. So this one's straight up and down. These are not straight up and down. But it's just a slight lean. It's not like a heavy lean over. You get a heavy lean going on there, and it's going to look pretty funny. I don't know what happened to my other picture, but so if you got your mustache on there, you got your straight up, you don't want it going like this, okay? That's not what we're doing. That's leaning way too far, okay? It's just barely leaning over. And then I'm going to skip over to here just for 1 second because I got this curved line here, and I'm just going to kind of follow it, okay? Just a parallel line, and then sneak one more in between, and the left side of that mustache is done. So I just did a parallel line to this edge, kind of the same, this angle, similar angle. Lean, 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 straight. And I think a lot of you can figure out what's coming next. We'll come over to the other side and lean the other way. Now we got the other side done. Okay, fairly balanced. Those lines don't have to be exactly the same length, all of them. You can leave some a little shorter, some a little longer. It's up to you. But now it looks more like a big bushy mustache. Can't grow hair on top of his head, so he's going to grow it under his nose. And the older you get, some of it comes right out of your nose. So that's just the way it is. Does anybody need more time to finish the hair up? Raise your hand high so I can see it, because I'll give you whatever time you need to finish up the mustache. Okay? And anybody that did raise their hand, when you are done with it, if you needed more time, just give me a thumbs up, and then I know we're ready to move on. All right. Let's go ahead and finish up the bow tie right down here. So the bow tie is very easy to do. We're not going to do a whole lot with it. We're going to just do the letter J, and we'll do a backwards and a forwards one. I'm going to turn my paper sideways. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take backwards J, forwards J. If you want to call it a fish hook, call it a fish hook. I'm going to do the same thing up here. That's just the little folds in his bow tie. So when I turn it this way, looks like he's got just a little fold in it. And with that, we just finished our first demonstration follow along in class. So I'm going to keep going so I don't have to stop the video. We're going to do our next subject here. I'm giving you just a little second to finish up. But the next subject will be very similar to the fish that we drew the other day, but it's going to be a little easier one that you can just do from memory later instead. Because those fish that we drew in class, I couldn't do them from memory. I'd have to practice them a whole lot to do them from memory. I mean, maybe if I drew them 4 or 5 times, I could do it from memory. But the one we're going to do right now is one that you should, in a lot of ways, just be able to do like you could do it tomorrow, whether you're watching, me do it or not. But we are going to make one slight alteration. So hopefully everybody's paying attention to this. If I have my paper out, so I fold it in half just so it's easier for me to move. But if my paper is wide open, this one's in the top left, right? So I'm going to fold my paper, so top left, right here. All I'm going to do is just rotate my paper this way. So now my little dude is sideways at the bottom. And here's something you can do if you want. Once you realize this is where we're drawing, let's draw a circle in it first, and then we can fold our paper a little more and it won't be kind of in our way. So I'm going to draw a fairly big circle on this one, but leaving some room at the top and bottom. So I'm going to draw it lightly. And if you don't learn anything else in this class, learn to draw lightly when you start. Notice I'm turning my paper because I'm going around making a circle. And I'm keeping it kind of light. And it's easier to do if I turn and turn and turn. But I don't want it to be real dark because I might be doing some erasing. I'm going to make this one just a little darker than I normally do, just so you can see it on the screen. But this is what I've got. I've got my little dot guy sideways down here, and then I got me a circle that's not quite in the middle. It's leaning a little to the left. So I got more room over here on the right because I want some room over here on this side. But it's a pretty big circle, okay? And your papers are all the same size as mine, so kind of gauge, how big you're drawing that. I would rather, listen closely, I would rather you draw it a little too big than too small, okay? So always, if you're going to err on one side, err on the side of being a little too big and not too small. I don't want a little micro tiny circle down here because it's really hard to draw inside small shapes. And I do realize that for some of you, the hardest part of the whole dang drawing is going to be drawing the circle. And we're just learning right now. This is practice. We will do some of this stuff later for a grade, but for today, we're just on the learning path, not on the grading path. Okay, so as long as we're close, we're all right. Raise your hand high if you still are trying to get that first circle drawn. See it? Okay, I'll give you just another second. If you did raise your hand, give me a thumbs up when you're done, and then I'll know we're ready to move on. Like I say, it is early in the morning. Sometimes the circle's kind of tough sometimes. There's some days I have a heck of a time drawing them when I'm not awake enough. Like I say, as long as it's close, we'll be okay. All right, just for convenience sake, now you can do this if you want. You don't have to. I just do it because it makes it easier for me to work. I'm going to just take my paper. The crease goes this way. I'm just going to fold it the opposite way like this for now. So my dude's on that side, and then this is on this side. And that way I don't have, paper down here. It's just nice, small, and compact. And I just do it to make it easier to draw us all. But I could just as easy probably draw it this way, but my hand might smear my drawing down here, and that's why I don't want to do that. So it makes it less likely that it's going to smear. Okay, we are going to turn this into a fish. In order to do that, here's the little bit of a tricky part. We got to build our foundation. And in order to build our foundation, we need to have a tail on this fish, and the tail's going to go on this side. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to turn my paper like this, okay? So this is the side that's got all the room. I've got a circle right here. I want this same curve shape. I want to come up here, so I'm going to come up about 2 inches. And I'm going to draw like a big frowny face right there, okay? It's just a nice curve. Don't get too far away. Don't put it way up here. Don't put it right down here. Just get a little distance. It's about 2 inches, maybe 2.5. So that when I turn it this way, I got a curved line next to it. And I might have got it a hair too far from the body, but it doesn't matter. It just means that my fish is going to be a little longer. So then I'm going to take a line that comes from here, and I want to connect it to this big circle, but I don't want to do a straight line like this. I don't want to go straight, because it won't look correct. I want it to kind of blend into my big circle. So I'm going to start here, and then let it curve out and blend right into my circle, just like that. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do the same thing, blend it out. So if I turn it this way, it kind of looks like a light bulb, sort of, okay? So we just want a nice, barely curving line to blend it into the circle. We don't want a straight line going in. We don't want to look like we just shoved this thing in there. It needs to be a nice gradual curve coming out to connect the two shapes. And if anybody really, really struggles with that and you've tried it a couple times and you just can't get it to work, run it over to me real quick and we'll fix it for you. But if you got it, great. If you don't, it's easily fixable. So this is going to be the main head and part of the body of the fish, and this is the base of the tail and part of the body of the fish. All right, in order to know how big our tail is going to be, I'm going to put a diagonal line that comes right up here and then do the same thing that comes right down here. It's not a short line, okay? Looks like two little legs right here, or like I'm drawing somebody with a really long neck and their head's up here and they got really, steep shoulders. And I'm going to put one going straight out the middle, just like that. So I'll pause for a minute while you get those three lines drawn. Two diagonal, one in the middle that's straight. We're just building our foundation right now. We're not doing a ton of details. We're just trying to get the foundation built. Raise your hand if you need any more time to get those three lines on there, okay? Now, one of the reasons that we keep our lines fairly light is right now where this and this touch, this line here touches here and this line touches here, we're just going to erase that part of that circle out. It's going to go away. It served its purpose. we no longer need it. But if you drew your lines really dark, it can be hard to make that go away. By the way, if we didn't have those little lines on the bottom like that and we just rounded this off more, we could turn that into the Scream face without too much trouble. You see what I'm saying? Because it'd be a lot like the Scream face. Or you could put big old teardrop shape eyes and make it an alien. So kind of learn to recognize shapes. You can do more than one thing with it. Okay, to finish this tail up, we got that erased. I want to finish the tail up, so I'm going to put one more diagonal line halfway between this one and this one. So I'll look down here where about halfway is, and I'm going to angle this one slightly up. I'm going to do this one slightly down. I just want these lines to be fairly close to the same length. They don't have to be perfect, like this one looks a little shorter and that one's a little shorter, but they're close, okay? Because a fishtail isn't, I mean, it's not like you take a pair of scissors and just cut it on a fishtail. They're not perfect. We want a little bit of imbalance, but not extreme. My favorite part of the tail is the thing we're going to do next, just because I like drawing it. It feels good, it's satisfying to me. You know when you draw water and you don't want to be super detailed, and so you're like, okay, I'm going to just draw water, you know what I'm talking about, like this, okay? And that looks like water in a very simplified form. Well, as far as our tail goes, I'm just going to put those little curved lines in between each one of these, just like that. And it's just like I'm drawing water, except I'm being intentional and careful so that I get it, you know, pretty even. But it's the same thing. Whoop, 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 whoop. And that tail, when I turn it this way, is now basically done as far as the shape goes. Also, that same thing we did right here, if we were drawing a bat wing, like for Halloween, we would use a similar style to draw a bat's wing. Okay, now is where it gets a little bit more tricky. We're going to put a set of eyes on this dude, but we're going to stay with simple shapes that we recognize. So I'm going to draw the shape first and then explain kind of what I'm doing. So I'm going to start at the edge of the top of my head, and I'm going to come up above my main image, come back down to the main image, come back up, and come back down, and stop, like that. If I turn it this way, what number is that? Basically drawing a 3, okay? In fact, if I want to curve it slightly in a little bit, a little more like a 3, I can. So don't sit there and go, oh man, what did you just do there? Just, if you need to, turn it this way and draw a big 3, okay? Now we've got a line going from here to here from our circle that we drew before. And this is why we keep it light, because we need that to go away. I don't want that in there. So anything that's inside that 3 area, erase it out. So now it's really clean. It's a really clean looking 3 when I turn it that way. And this next part will be a little tricky, but hopefully not too tricky. We're going to draw 2 ovals. We've done a lot of circles. Now we're going to do some oval shapes. So I'll zoom in through the oval shapes. So we're going to draw one large oval, and I'll draw it light. I want the edge to be about you know, between right here. So I'm going to draw the edge, then it comes over and touches that light line that I just did, then a parallel line to this line. So I'm coming around, I'm drawing it light, come around this way. So now that oval is basically, is from the bottom of this to just underneath there. So that's a fairly big oval. I'm making it just a little darker so it's easier for you to see. Okay. So instead of a circle, it's longer than it is, it's taller than it is wide. That's why it's an oval. But we're just kind of following, see this edge here? We're just kind of following it around, and then we just got to kind of freehand it right into here. So if you're just drawing a parallel line to this line, like doot, 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 and then just connect it with a curved line, you have a pretty good oval. We're going to do something similar on the other side. I'm going to follow that line just like we did on the other side. Except this one I'm going to have come in and blend in with that and then come down just as far. So I want this to look like it slightly overlaps that one, and that this one is just a little fraction of an inch bigger than this one. The reason being, in theory, is this eye is slightly closer to us than this one. So it will appear slightly, just very slightly bigger than the one that's further away. So really, if I turn it this way, I got a number 3 and a number 8. Okay? It's just that this one slightly overlaps is all. So if you're drawing an 8 inside your 3, you're an expert. You're an expert on drawing eyes now. You didn't even know it. And like I say, art's kind of fun because you just take simple things that you know how to draw. Circles, ovals, 3s, 8s, you know, straight diagonal lines, triangles, rectangles. They're stuff you've been drawing forever. It's just putting them together in a different way. Just drawing a triangle all day is kind of boring, but when you can make it be part of something like a tooth, make a triangle similar shape to its teeth, then it becomes more interesting. Okay, we want to put eyelids on this guy on the inside. So I'm going to make that little bird again that we did like on the old guy. We just come down here, kind of just where those two come together. I come over, and then I go over here, and I drew my little bird. Okay? So whoop, whoop, you got a bird. And we now have eyelids. Oh my gosh, that clock is off again. Go ahead, unfold them all the way, put it picture side up on the table, and you guys are freaking awesome. Everybody did really well. We'll finish it up tomorrow.